I'm 73 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that might upset you. Everything you think you know about having time, it's wrong. I don't mean a little wrong. I mean backwards, upside down. The kind of wrong you don't realize until something in you breaks and forces you to stop moving. For the first 50 years of my life, I believed the same story most people believe, that life is a ladder. You start at the bottom, you work hard, you keep climbing, and at the top there's this reward called someday. Someday I'll slow down. Someday I'll enjoy it. Someday I'll have time. At 52, my heart tried to kill me. That's the medical phrase, I guess. Cardiac event. Sounds clean, professional. What it really means is that in the middle of an ordinary workday, my body decided it had had enough of the life I was forcing it to live. And in that moment, as everything went dark around the edges, I realized something terrifying. I had spent my entire life on autopilot, chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. I had what people like to call success, real success, the kind you're supposed to want. I was a partner at my firm, corner office, people returned my calls, I owned a nice house in a good neighborhood, 2 cars in the driveway, a retirement account that, on paper, looked impressive enough to make me feel safe, important, like I was doing something right. I told myself I was doing it all for my family. That's what we tell ourselves, isn't it? I told my wife, just a few more years. I said it so often it became a reflex. Just a few more years, then things will slow down. Once the kids are grown, then we'll travel. Once I make partner, then I'll relax. Once the mortgage is smaller, once the market stabilizes. Once. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was climbing a ladder for 30 years without ever stopping to ask what it was leaning against. I just assumed that if I kept going up, it would all make sense at the top. It didn't. The day my heart gave out wasn't dramatic. No sunset, no meaningful last words. I wasn't on a beach or holding someone's hand. I was in a boardroom. Fluorescent lights, bad coffee, a long table covered in printouts. We were arguing about quarterly projections, numbers that don't mean anything now, numbers I can't even remember. I was talking, probably too loudly, about margins and timelines when the room started to tilt. Just a little at first, like I'd stood up too fast. Then my chest tightened. Not sharp pain, exactly. More like pressure, like someone was sitting on me. I remember thinking, that's strange, and then everything got fuzzy. The next thing I remember clearly is waking up in a hospital bed, tubes in my arms, machines beeping, the smell of disinfectant, and my wife sitting in a chair in the corner, crying in a way I'd never seen before. Quiet, like she was afraid to make noise. The doctors said I was lucky. That word again, lucky. They explained what had happened in calm, practiced voices, procedures, percentages, recovery plans. All I could think was this. If I had died in that boardroom, that would have been it. That would have been the end of my story. And what would I have left behind? A résumé. That's the thought that gutted me. Not my house, not my savings, not my title. A list of achievements that would mean nothing to anyone in 5 years, maybe less. People would have said a few polite things at a funeral. He worked hard. He was dedicated. And then they would have gone back to their lives. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, I realized how fragile the whole thing was, how close I had come to trading my only life for a pile of accomplishments nobody was going to hold in their hands when I was gone. Here's the truth I need you to hear, especially if you're younger and you still think you have plenty of time. Success is a terrible goal. It's terrible because the goalposts move. Always. You get the promotion, and suddenly, it's about the next one. You hit a number, and now you need a bigger one. You buy the house, and then you notice the neighbor's house. It never ends. It's a hamster wheel dressed up as progress. My biggest regrets aren't the deals I lost or the opportunities I missed. I barely remember those. What I remember are the Sundays I didn't call my father because I was too busy. He died thinking I was always in a hurry. The trips I promised my wife we'd take someday. Some of those places we never saw together. The times my kids wanted me to sit on the floor and play, and I said, later. Later came and went without asking permission. I thought I had forever. You don't. That's the part nobody likes to talk about. The people you love are on a timer. You are, too. And the cruel part is you don't get to see the clock. You don't know when it's going to run out. You just wake up one day and realize there are fewer tomorrows than there used to be. After my heart attack, something in me shifted. Not all at once. Change like that doesn't happen in a single epiphany. It was slower, messier, but I stopped waiting for permission to live. I stopped asking, is this productive? And started asking, does this matter? I started saying no to things that fed my ego but drained my soul. I stepped back from work in ways that terrified me at first. I was so used to being needed that I didn't know who I was without the constant noise. And then something surprising happened. The world didn't end. The firm survived without me working late every night. The emails still got answered. The meetings still happened. All those things I thought only I could handle, someone else handled them just fine. What didn't survive was my illusion that I was indispensable. In these last 21 years, years I think of as borrowed time, I've learned more about life than I did in the first 52. I started traveling, not to impress anyone, but to be somewhere unfamiliar with people I love. I've sat on beaches without checking my phone. I've taken slow walks. I've had long, unhurried conversations. I've gotten to know my grandkids as people, not just names on birthday cards. I've learned their fears, their jokes, the way their faces light up when they're really listened to. I'm there now. Actually there. And they know it. I'm happier at 73 with less time ahead of me than I ever was at 30 when I thought the world was wide open. That sounds backwards, I know. But it's true. Because happiness, real happiness, doesn't come from having more time. It comes from using the time you have with intention. From being where you are instead of constantly living in the future. I look back at the man I was before that heart attack, and I don't judge him too harshly. He was doing what he thought he was supposed to do. He was following a script that society hands us early and never really explains. Work hard. Delay joy. Sacrifice now so you can live later. The problem is, later isn't guaranteed. So, if you're watching this and you're working late again, let me say this as plainly as I can. Stop. Close your laptop. The work will be there tomorrow. Your people might not. Go home. Sit at the table. Call your parents while you still can. Take the trip you keep postponing. Say the thing you've been meaning to say. Don't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. Life is messy. It's inconvenient. It interrupts your plans. And someday is a lie we tell ourselves to make postponement feel responsible. Someday is today. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. It should. Discomfort is often the first sign that something important is trying to get through. I'm not telling you to quit your job or sell everything and disappear. I'm telling you to pay attention, to notice how often you trade presence for productivity. How often you say later when what you mean is, I'm scared to slow down. Because slowing down forces you to feel things. And feeling things reminds you that this is all temporary. I don't have many years left. I know that now, in a way, I didn't before. And when I think about what I want my life to have meant, it's not the titles or the numbers or the praise. It's the mornings I lingered over coffee with my wife. The afternoons I spent doing nothing important at all. The moments I chose people over progress. Those are the things that stay. If this landed with you, tell me in the comments what you're going to do differently today. Not someday. Today. Subscribe if you want to hear more truths from someone who learned them the hard way. And now, close this video. Go be with the people who matter.